Hi guys, welcome back. One of the main reasons I started this YouTube channel was to provide birders outside of the Netherlands with information about rare birds seen in the Netherlands. And recently most of my videos have been vlogs about adventures where I go out to try and see and film some rare birds that are seen here. And I also started to do more and more of those rare bird updates, which you like. But moving forward, I've decided that besides the weekly adventure videos on Thursday, I want to do more rare bird updates. Now I'll do them monthly, and I want to switch to 2 weekly and maybe even weekly in the future, so I can give you the updates on the rare birds in the Netherlands more in real time. And I also want to make some more videos, for instance about the prediction game or what gear I use, or in this case updates about our rarities committee, because yesterday our Rarity Committee came with an update in which they clarify some recent decisions, and that concern decisions about whether they accept or reject records of white-headed duck, marble teal and indigo bunting. In July last year, a juvenile white-headed duck was found at the Biesbos. Later on, it turned out there were even 2 birds. One bird I saw and made a video about. But then it was the question whether this concerned an escape, because there was a rumor that 3 white-headed ducks had escaped in the area, or maybe it was a wild bird. And now finally the Rarity Committee gave some clearance on what they wanted to do with that record, and they decided to reject it. But not because of the rumor of the 3 escaped ducks, as that rumor couldn't be confirmed. But they decided that July was too early for juvenile white-headed ducks to show up in the Netherlands. There are several populations of white-headed duck, for instance in Spain, but those birds are resident, so we don't expect them to show up in the Netherlands. We do, however, suspect that the white-headed ducks seen in the Netherlands are from the eastern population, from Kazakhstan for instance. And for those birds, a juvenile in July would be too early, so the Rarity Committee decided that it was better to reject the record. Then moving on to the other duck that was also featured in the same video as the white-headed ducks were in. And that was the marble teal of the Aesmakeeg, found by Joey Braat on August 2nd. I went there directly with my daughter Olivia and we saw the bird, and we could confirm that the bird was indeed unringed and didn't have any damage to its feathers. But a couple of weeks later a ringed bird turned up in the same location. So that could be a reason why our Rarities Committee could decide to reject the record, as an escape was more likely. But in this case they decided to accept the record as a wild bird, which will be the 2nd record for the Netherlands and the 1st for my Dutch list. And then the last decision on which the Rarities Committee gave some clearance, and that is the indigo bunting, as we have 2 old records of that species from the 80s, and they wanted to review those records to see if the indigo bunting should remain on the Dutch list, or if it's better to reject those records after all and remove the species from the list. And after a 5-year period in which they analyzed as much data as possible, for instance they checked the photo of the bird, and it's most likely a 2nd calendar year bird which is more prone to vagrancy, and they also analyzed the song of the species, because it turns out the indigo bunting learns its song from other species around, and when there are a lot of indigo buntings around, the song gets more complicated. But this bird had a very simple song, which you would expect for a vagrant bird in Europe, where no other indigo buntings are around. But it could also be an argument for an escaped bird, as escaped birds also wouldn't have other indigo buntings around. But putting all the data together, they decided that it was best to leave the indigo bunting on the Dutch list. And after they've reviewed the 1st record of the indigo bunting at the Robbenhoutbos, they are now going to review the 2nd record to see if that one should also remain on the Dutch list. Let me know, what did you think of this video? Would you like to see more of these kind of videos? And don't forget to subscribe. Here you can see what the adventure video of Thursday will be. See you then.